Hey everybody, and welcome back to Fresh Set. I'm Sabrina.
And I'm Kevin. And
And
this was completely just coincidental.
yeah,
I
sure.
was I was cheering on Max
We
and Red Bull,
need Bianca to confirm that you
which
were wearing a Red Bull shirt all day.
as all soon pretty much all day. As soon as I woke up, this is what I put on, and I did my shit.
Okay.
Whatever. And which what, I've gotten a lot of shit this weekend about being a Max and a Red Bull fan, from just random people that I just met at the bar. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
I was at a surprise birthday on
Ah,
Friday night, and I had a Formula One T-shirt, not just a generic Formula One T-shirt on. And then I got asked who I like, and then as soon as I said Max and Red Bull, I was like,
well, now they can roll their eyes even more.
yeah, exactly, suck it.
Yeah, honestly. Before we jump into this race weekend, I just want to remind you to follow us on social media at Fresh Set Podcast, and on wherever you get your podcasts.
Very good podcast,
And
yeah,
yeah,
and on YouTube.
and on YouTube at Fresh Set Podcast. So like, share, follow, comment, all the things. And jumping right into our second triple header of the season so far, but starting off Europe, starting off the European leg
Starting Europe.
with Canada tucked in
Just
there.
yeah, just somewhere, yeah.
But so we started in Imola. I'm just gonna say Imola because it's the easiest way
Emilia
to say
Romagna, blah 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 blah.
Del Primo Italiano.
Yeah. The track most famously known for Senna,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. It's a fun track. We also think it's the last
Yeah,
year
no.
of
Well,
this
everybody's
track.
kind of just like, yeah, it might be the last. There's
Yeah,
been no updates, and usually just before we have a race, if there's a re-up, it happens. Like we had in Miami. Like
yeah,
here, we got another 16 years of this. This one, which is strange. I don't know if it's. I mean, there's only one DRS zone, which I mean, when you come to 2026, they're getting away with DRS. There's not going to be DRS. There's just going to be open straights and non-open straights, the way the cars and the regulations work. So I don't
yeah.
know why. I mean, we didn't really see, spoiler alert, a lot of tons of on-track passing, unless you were in the straight and DRS. There was a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, elsewhere, it's hard to pass anywhere
Yeah.
else. Unless
Yeah.
you're going to be like Max and go right over the top of somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just taking chances.
Not this one.
Yeah. I mean, do we need 2 Italian races? No. But do we need 3 US races? Also, no.
When you're looking at, well, yeah, I guess cost generation wise, if you're going to look at that, and that's basically what they're going to go off of,
Yeah.
is what generates the most cost. I mean,
Yeah.
the States, yes, you have Miami,
It's
it's
gonna be.
expensive as hell. Las Vegas is expensive as hell. And Coda's just a great track. So I
Yeah.
don't think those are going away
No.
at all. Well, obviously, we know several of them aren't going away anytime soon. When it comes to the Italians, I don't know the pricing of them. But I don't see the Italians paying a ridiculous amount of money for 2 races in a year.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. And this is technically not Ferrari's home race, although the track is named after Enzo.
Yeah,
Monza is technically their home race. So
it is
I don't know
Kimi
if that has
Antonelli's home
anything.
race.
It's Kimi Antonelli's
He's like
home race.
17 minutes or 14 minutes from the
Yeah.
track.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see if they. It looks like it's not coming back. I think there's been talk about it before as well. And with Madrid coming in next year, maybe they'll do something like an alternating Monza and Imola.
I
How they're
think
planning
that's,
to do
yeah.
like Madrid and Barcelona, maybe. But
And a lot of the European races, I think, are going to just be swapping in and out. And I think
yeah,
I think you're right. I think they might do that. Although,
yeah,
how the heck do you get away from Monza? the hands, the
The
waving,
hand.
the waving pinched hand. Yeah.
Yeah. The hand. Yeah. I don't know how you. And I mean, Ferrari fans would. I mean, Ferrari fans are at Imola as well, but they would just go
Are they
nuts.
are they keeping it for Ferrari? Like, I mean, what other tracks do we have that have, as soon as we're having this podium, you have an invasion of fans coming on track.
Yeah. That's true.
Besides maybe Australia, where they stole everything from the track this year.
Yeah.
But
Weird. Bunch of kleptos.
it's not weird. It's a
Not
British
their property.
It's a prison colony. It's in their heritage.
Oh God. Canceled.
Yeah.
So
Truth.
So we have the Imola Grand Prix, again, like I said before, it's an exciting race. The European leg, other than Monaco, all of the races are exciting. All of the tracks are really cool, really fun. Again, aside from Monaco. Monaco's just iconic.
Track.
Yeah.
Monaco's a great track. It's the cars that have changed.
Yeah, true.
Which we can talk about it later, but
yeah,
I'm very interested. I'm very uninterested in Monaco next week, but we'll talk about that after.
Yeah. So then we kind of go right into a little bit of, and I'm not even gonna say free practice, or I guess we had, like you said, Kimi Antonelli's is from. This is his home race. Yeah. His first time racing in Formula One.
Yeah. And it's not just like everybody's home race because you're in that country. Yeah. This is literally his home.
Yeah. This is not far from here.
Yeah. No.
Not far from here at all. And really cute. Mercedes invited his whole class because, again, he is still in school.
He's still got finals.
Yeah. They invited his whole class to come to the track and walk around the paddock and see everything, which is really cool, I thought. Shows his age, obviously.
I mean,
but
we've all had class trips, grade 8, grade 12, whatever, class trips. Who's been to a Formula One race to go watch your classmate race? When you're not even allowed, technically, none of them will even be able to drive.
Yeah, true.
For another couple of years. Yeah.
And I mean, it's a good way to show off to the girls. 100%. Although I think he's got a girlfriend, but
I mean,
good way to show off.
Yeah. I mean, I remember being 18. Yeah.
Like, you can only pick certain amount of people.
The trouble he could get in having the pick of the litter.
Yeah, honestly. Anyways, that was on
analogy, but
anyways, that was on Friday. I think it was. They did that, and I think they've kind of had access all weekend, but they got the tour from him. So yeah, free practices. I mean, we've talked about it. If you're not super into Formula One, the free practices are going to be boring for you. I go in and out of watching them. Again, I'm just looking at timing. It tells you something, doesn't always tell you everything. I mean, you could say this weekend it told us that the McLarens were the fastest. It also told us Pierre Gasly was running in third. So
but we did have a Sainz first place in FP2. Now I know again, like you said, everybody's running different setups.
Yeah.
Try to see what tires are going to work, so things are working, aren't. But it is indicative of what your car can do on this track.
And what you're planning to do.
You know what? And Carlos Sainz being in first, and FP2 was showing what that Williams car could do in this track. Yeah. That is quick.
Yeah, for sure. But then we go into qualifying. And qualifying is running as normal. And then we have a Red Bull just go off. We see a yellow flag, Q1. We see a yellow flag and we see a Red Bull go off, and it's just in shambles. It's Yuki. Max was actually on a flying lap with purple sectors when this happened.
Screwed his teammate there. Thanks, Yuki.
Yeah, honestly. And the crash, the car's in shambles. And then we see the replay. And Yuki kind of goes over the curb, I guess. And then tries to oversteer and do God knows what, and just absolutely flips the car.
Jumps
Not
the
his, I mean,
barriers.
jumps the barriers and is just flipping, and then the car ended up landing. So what we saw,
Right.
I was like, oh, it didn't look that bad
Yeah,
when you
you would
just
just
saw
think
the
like
like
he hit the
aerial.
barriers and like
Yeah.
he destroyed his car. Great, no problem.
Yeah.
Especially because he was getting out of the car when by the time we see it.
Right. And then you see the replay and you're like, "Oh no, this
Yeah,
is
he lived.
really bad."
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So that was a red flag. Major damage to the barriers. There was a lot of repair. The car, yeah, just not a good time for Yuki. So
And that was fairly early in Q1.
yeah, there was
That
about
was like
13
minutes
minutes
left. Yeah.
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 So, I think maybe 3 people had set a time
Yeah, he had
at that
set time.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he
So,
he starts in 20th, in
yeah.
the pit lane.
Yeah, he was going to be, I think that the talk was it going to be 20th, or were they going to replace the chassis
Yeah.
and go for the pit lane start, which we end up finding out that he does the pit lane start. So,
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, like the nose is completely destroyed. There's like a steering column. That was loud.
sorry.
There's a steering column. It's a long weekend. Don't worry about it. Something sticking out of the nose. Like this car was.
Yeah.
Other than like a car that I've seen split in half, was probably one of the worst damages I've seen
Yeah.
in recent memory.
Yeah, honestly. And then so we go back racing, and everybody, there's a red flag for quite a bit of time while they clean all that up. And then we go, and I think actually Piastri was the first driver to come up on the accident because he was about to go and start his. And so you can, like, all I'm thinking is he's thinking, is that Max? Like, there goes the competition.
Where's my chance? Do I have a chance this weekend?
And he's just like, is he okay? Which is what the drivers always ask if someone's okay. But I was thinking for Piastri, he's probably like, is that Max?
Yeah. How do my chances? Is he good? Yeah. Okay, great. Is it him?
Is it Max?
Yeah. And a lot of genuine concern. Like you see Liam, even the replay of him, like he had seen the replay on the screen before he came up on the accident. And, he obviously knows it's Yuki, or he hears it's Yuki. So a lot of genuine concern, obviously, his ex-teammate. But,
Yeah, and then we go back racing, and we're pretty much about 20 seconds left, probably even less at this point. And Colapinto doesn't flip the car, but kind of does the same thing at a different corner and just into the wall in his first race return.
Yeah, he actually drives over the grass, I think, coming out of a turn, and then just loses it.
Yeah. And he, with his time that he currently had, though, actually saw him go through, even though his car was now demolished. He would go on to Q2, but he couldn't actually go out in Q2, so he just stayed in.
No, he just screwed everybody else up because everybody else was on their flying laps.
Yeah.
But there were a couple that couldn't finish their lap because of the red flag, which it was very close. Who was it now? We got into Q2, and they're trying to see if they've actually got Behrman and Bortoletto.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have the numbers, the differential.
Do you?
I do. So Bierman so we have the usual suspects out, but Bierman and Bortoletto are kind of sitting there.
Bortoletto's already finished his lap.
Yeah, both of them are just sitting in their cars because it's between the two of them, and both of them know it's between the two of them who's going to be in and who's going to be out. And they're kind of just doing a sit-in. Nobody's getting out of their car because they know this is if they get out of the car, then that's kind of them showing that they're done. There's a long pause between Q1 and Q2, and it's to determine if Bierman, who was on his flying lap and literally at the start finish line, if he made it before the red flag came up.
Yes.
And I will tell you the determination. So, Oliver Bierman, the red flag was set at 16:32. So this is 4:32, 17 seconds. Bierman crossed the line. Where is it? Bierman crossed the line at 16:32, 20 seconds. So 3 seconds.
Now the worst part is because he goes through, and we're seeing his onboards over and over again, and they're showing where the red flag comes up, where the red flag on the wall comes up, and it looks like there's maybe tenths of a second's difference, and they're trying to determine whatever. But what you hear afterwards, the rule is as long as the race director has initiated a red flag, it doesn't matter in what sector or what part of it, even if he can't see it.
Yeah.
But at the minute that red flag has been shown, that is the time that you had, the time of the red flag. So it doesn't matter if he crossed the line and his red flag hadn't shown up yet.
Yeah.
It's a red flag session, which really sucks for all of our
Really sucks. Like, it is like you snap your fingers and that's the seconds right there. So really, really sucked for him. And so he was on pretty decent pace. Would he have made it to Q3? Maybe not. But
No,
I mean,
but he
could have
started
been
14th is where Bortoleto started.
Yeah.
Instead of, where was he? 19th?
19th, yeah.
The
Big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference. So yeah, I mean, Bierman eventually gets out of the car. But I mean, although Bortoleto was like, I'm going. Before the
time, like, yeah, before we, like, the viewers knew, he goes out. I'm like, yeah, they're gonna get a penalty. Like, they're gonna get, like, what are they gonna do here? They're gonna red flag this session because this guy's got to come back around the track.
Yeah, he just went for it.
He must have been told before. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Q2 just ends up being a disaster for, if you're an Italian or an Italian fan, it's a disaster because we see Antonelli, again, his home race, and both Ferraris are out.
Yeah.
Insane. Both of them, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Charles, Lewis, and Antonelli.
Not even just that, but they're the victims of, and I'll read it from 5th place on in Q3. So what the starting grid would be, but still, these are the ones that made it through ahead of them. Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, Alex Albon, Lance Stroll, and Isaac Hadjar, and Pierre Gasly.
Yeah.
By me, not to have one Ferrari. Okay, you had Norris who had a good run. You know, Antonelli made a mistake, whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's down there. But not one Ferrari makes it through. And that's all the headlines was how disappointing Ferrari was in Italy.
Yeah.
Ahead of the Aston Martins, who brought upgrades this weekend.
Yes. Which are working.
Which seemed to work, yeah. They seemed to work.
Worked.
They worked for qualifying.
Yeah.
And they were competitive in parts of the race.
Yeah, about the first half of the race they were.
They were competitive in parts of the race.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're consistently seeing Isaac Hadjar be able to pull tons out of that car.
Yeah.
Pierre Gasly is finding how his car works and works properly and putting consistent numbers up there. Whether it's between 12 and 6, he's doing it.
Yeah.
And then the Williams, for whatever the Williams are doing, they seem like the top of the midfield this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're going to be the ones to beat. As long as they stay on the course that they are with continuing to get faster and faster. I mean, I think they'll be the top of the midfield for sure.
I mean, if they could put several weekends together and their upgrades start to work throughout the year, they could take on Ferrari. If Ferrari continues.
They could take, who's 5th? Ferrari. That's like usually Aston Martin. That's usually about an Aston Martin.
Yeah, it's usually Aston Martin. You have usually the top 4, which is the Red Bulls, McLarens, Mercedes, Ferrari.
Yeah.
And then you have, the last couple of years it's been Aston Martin. But, I mean, Williams is, they've got a way to go. They're 51 points after this weekend, and Ferrari's at 114. However, if they can find some time somewhere, find some upgrades, and Ferrari is staying kind of, or if upgrades don't work, you're going to have a tight fight up there at 4th and 5th. Yeah.
And I mean, Aston Martin's looking, again, with the upgrades that we saw this weekend, they look good. They look fast. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Like you said, Carlos tops Q2 as the fastest. And again, you know, you're not seeing the likes of a Norris, Piastri, Verstappen necessarily putting up everything that they have in a Q1 or a Q2.
Yeah.
But anything can happen. So people should be trying to put up the best times. And I mean, Carlos Sainz being up there was quite a bit of a shocker. I just didn't think he'd be first at that.
No, I didn't think he'd be first, but we're seeing consistently a lot of mistakes happen on this track, whether they're
Yeah.
taking too much curb, and we've seen
Yeah.
saw several cars where all four wheels are off the track. They're trying to take out every single millisecond out of chicanes and turns and
Yeah.
curbs, and it just some of them just screwed it royally.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. And I mean, so then we go into Q3 and it's just mayhem of people just they go to Q1 or they go to P1 and then the next person goes to P1, which is again normal. And then we start to see the ones that aren't moving. So we have Russell getting into P1, then we have Piastri, then we have Norris, and then it goes again and Max gets it. And not so much in the middle to the back of Q3, so 5 to 10. They're kind of just, either staying where they are. But yeah, I mean, they're just putting up some crazy times at this point.
What I noticed a lot this weekend, more so in this qualifying than I did, and we're talking a lot about qualifying, but what I noticed a lot about this qualifying specifically over the other ones in this season, have just been the urgency to get out there on track.
Yes.
There have been so many flags. There have been so many mistakes. There's been so much potential for your run to be ruined because somebody else made a mistake, that they're making sure they're, and it's just traffic upon traffic, while as somebody's out there. Nobody has clear air.
Yeah. No, not at all. And I did see, 2023, we would see Max come out at the beginning of a session, throw up a time, go back to the garage and just wait till the next session.
Which he could have done in Q2, and I was surprised he went back out for that second one.
I was surprised too. Yeah, but I mean, at that point the cars just weren't where Red Bull was, and Red Bull was just miles ahead. But you're seeing the urgency even in someone like a Max Verstappen. What is it? 2 races ago, that he did that double stacking of himself. Really, he double stacked an outlap and running a hot lap. But yeah, you do see the urgency a lot with this group, or this year. Again, I think it's just the cars are fast, the drivers are good. There's just been mistakes left, right, and center. So you've got to make up what you can. And you don't know at any point, the race director could say, or, if there's a red flag, they'll say, we're not going to restart this session.
A red flag with 30 seconds left, we know it's like, okay, too bad.
We're not going to
restart. Not
that
they would get around. Or if it's like, if your outlap's going to be 2 minutes and 15 seconds, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and they've got 2:40 left on there, they might just say, well, for TV reasons and the fact that we have to be out of this track in 3 hours or whatever, we're just going to end it.
Yeah, so you could see the urgency, definitely.
Yeah.
So Q1, Q3, sorry. We have our pole sitter, which is
Piastri.
Oscar. I was like, who was it? Oscar.
Yeah. He actually, George put up the pole time. Not George.
Yeah.
My mistake. Lando put up the pole time.
Yeah.
Then Piastri comes and takes it from him. Then Max puts himself square in between those two.
Yeah.
And then we kind of see everybody else kind of just filter in. Actually, and then George put himself between Max and Lando out of nowhere. Which nobody was talking about him. He just showed up again.
Yeah. Again. George is just there.
I don't. He showed up by driving.
Yeah.
Well, but
and then we have Alonso in 5th and Stroll in 7th. I think it was.
Nope, 8th. We had the two Williams between them, so we had the way I had mentioned it before was their actual order. So for Alonso, Sainz, Albon, Stroll, Hadjar, and Gasly.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, and every time we see Max and Oscar line up beside each other, regardless of who's first or second, it's just
we know there's going to be elbows out and a fight.
Yeah. And sure enough, going into the race, which we have 63 laps at Imola. There's not really elbows out, I would say.
There was in turn 1, I would say.
Yeah.
I was surprised by Oscar's leniency into turn 2.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to keep it going.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. He said he braked early, which, yeah, okay, he braked early. Why? Who knows? He had it. I think they were, even if he didn't have that corner, they were even enough that it would have just been a racing incident if something had happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And Oscar does have the better start.
He does, yeah. Even George.
George has a really good start, and he's complaining about Oscar, who's kind of blocking him. And I'm thinking about it. Was Oscar paying too much attention to George in the rear view? Like seeing him come up the side of him, that he totally forgot about Max, because he leaves Max room come to turn 2.
Yeah, it's possible.
and Max just gets him on turn 2 with a long lunge. And he just is gone. Like Max takes, not as fast as like a restart that happens later, but he just,
don't give it away.
He just kind of very quickly gets up to 1.5 seconds ahead.
By the end of the first lap, he's at a DRS. There's no, and we know like DRS is 1 lap now, so he's 1.1 after across the line, I think, something like that. 1.2.
Yeah, very quickly. There's great fighting between Lando and George, going back and forth, and it just kind of everything kind of falls into place a little bit where people should be, and everybody's running where they are. Alonso is flying in the Aston Martin, which is, I mean, we haven't seen the Aston Martins that far up right now.
No.
So to see them fighting against the Ferrari's way behind, but fighting against the Russells and the Landos was, nice to see. And nice to see that their upgrades were actually working. Like, we know they worked in quali, and that they were actually working in the race. George and Lando have this back and forth for a while of late braking, switching, going on the inside, going on the outside.
George getting very panicked.
Very panicked.
Very panicked.
And then right after all of that, George comes in very early at lap 12 to change his tires.
And he says it, I think it was like lap 6 or 7, where he's like, if I'm going at this pace, like our original plan isn't going to work, which is the plan is the 1 stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
You could see that was the plan, but I mean, there's a lot of fighting all over. Everybody was fighting.
I get it, but I mean, you got to put it into perspective. If you're on lap 6 or 7 and you cannot put distance between yourself and the fastest car on the grid that has been for the year, I mean, understand that your race is not with the McLarens. Let them go.
No.
Your race is with the Williams behind you, everybody else behind you. If you're destroying your tires and your one-stop strategy, you want to make it last. I don't know if he started on the hard. I think we started on the mediums. But it's a matter of time before he gets you. And it was, lap 6 or 7. He got him by lap 12. Just let him go.
Yeah. And you make a really good point there, because it's like you see some of these drivers fight the wrong car.
Yeah.
And George was fighting the wrong car. You let Lando go. I mean, don't let him go, but don't
make it easy on him.
Yeah.
But you don't have to destroy your race for one position at the beginning of the race.
Right. And at that point, you don't know how fast Max really is. You're probably fighting Max. You're fighting Max. You're fighting them, the Williams, like you said, right behind him.
If the McLarens get away fast enough.
Yeah. You're the third. You're looking for the third place podium. Second, if you're lucky, but the other person that's been on a podium this year has been Max. Yeah. So that's who you're fighting.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in the past, and I think we've kind of talked about it when Max has had a situation where he's coming up through the back of the pack. Nobody fights him because they know it's pointless. In the sense that, why waste your tires on fighting with a car that's going to be ahead of you and then gone from you in 30 seconds. So, Absolutely. So,
and I think that's like, I get George is in the moment, whatever. George is a racer. He's going to race. His pit wall, his engineer, Toto, failed him in that beginning of that race, because we see he doesn't recover.
No.
It's just completely, he
struggles.
He still ends up in the points, but he where he could have finished, he didn't.
he was fighting for his life
Yeah.
in that race. Every position he was fighting for it. But yeah, we see a weird incident in, I don't remember what lap it was, but Alonso comes into the pits, changes his tires. Both front tires are on fire as
I
he
missed
is.
that.
Oh,
How did I miss that?
Flames coming out of the tires as he's leaving the pit lane.
I missed that completely. I didn't see that.
And as soon as he is out of the slow zone of the pit lane and he like is able to put his foot down, they instantly go out. But like the replay, they were on fire, both of them. I was like, this is not safe. But I mean, they went out, so he knows what he was doing. And then we see Oscar try to do the undercut, which
would have worked.
Would have worked. Definitely would have worked. But it was a slow pit stop.
Yeah, and he's also trying to, I mean, regardless, yeah, he's trying to do the undercut, but he's also got a teammate right behind him. Mm-hmm. Right? So he's also, he's stuck between two cars, two competitors, essentially. And that slow stop allows Lando through. I think it was the front left that was late coming.
Front left at one point, and then it was another one at another point.
Yeah, so he was at a 3.2, something like that.
I think it was a 3.6.
3.6.
Yeah,
it was bad.
It was a very slow stop for McLaren for him, and it kind of ruined the whole undercut. It brought him out in a bad spot of traffic, and then he struggled to get through. Some people, I mean, once he was able to get behind somebody in DRS zone or whatever, he was able to get past, but you still have to fight, and then you're fighting people that they're in a DRS train. So it was just a bit of a mess for him, and unlucky really is what it was. It was just unlucky.
Yeah, they needed that perfect pit stop to make it work, and it just
didn't happen. By this point, Yuki, I think, is up to like 10th or 11th, and Piastri is behind him, and they call out to Yuki, and they're like, you know, Yuki, Oscar is fighting Max. He's 1.5 behind you. Hold him up.
Yeah.
And what it looks like, it looked like slow motion on the TV, but it looks like Yuki doesn't do anything. And there was a little bit of defending, but we've seen like the likes of a Sergio Perez or like we've seen people, Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, I mean, to
do some serious impeding, but
to be fair, which is not really fair, Yuki is not. I mean, I've never really seen Yuki defend, like be a master at defense.
Fair.
Right? We see somebody like Albon is really good at it. Yeah. Sainz is very good at it.
Yeah.
You know, Perez was obviously very good at it. Yuki doesn't seem like that. He doesn't, you know, he's more of an
now that you
attacker.
mention it.
I've never really seen Yuki defend. Maybe because he's always been in a slower car. He's never had to defend. He's always just trying to get there. But he's always had a blue flag. Maybe that's what he thought by defend.
Yeah. And now that you mention it, I agree. No, I don't think I've seen him have to hold somebody up.
I mean, I'll give it to Yuki this year in this race. Like, he started from 20th. Some of his overtakes were great. I mean, he was baiting people, getting the switchback.
Yeah,
I thought some of his overtakes were really on point this weekend. But if you're asking me defense today or at all in his career, I mean, I can't think of one time he was defending well.
Yeah. But it was just
not
funny.
Like,
no, but it was just funny that the call came over the radio and it was like, "Hey Yuki, hold up Oscar if you can." And like,
and you thought, what the fuck does that mean?
5 seconds later, you see Oscar just drive right.
You meant just
him.
That corner, right?
Yeah, just once. Yeah. He's like, I waved at it, but held him up. What do you want me to do? Yeah. So then lap 30. Yellow flag, and Ocon is on the grass. He doesn't hit anything. He's just on the grass.
It looks like he just wants to have a picnic.
He's just pulled over to take a picture.
Such a nice day.
Lando had just come into the pits when we see this yellow flag come out, and so he comes out.
Come out of the pit.
He'd just come out of the pit.
Out of the pit.
And we see this yellow flag go up, and then it's very quickly a virtual safety car because Ocon he just lost power in his car
Yeah,
and
we don't
he's
know
done.
exactly what it is. Yeah, maybe it was power. Did we see the replay? Yes, we did see the replay.
Yeah, it
No,
just turned.
it just
Yeah,
stopped. Like
yeah.
he
It
wasn't able to shift. No, that
no,
was in
he just
Antonelli's.
had.
I'm thinking of. Sorry.
He just. But Ocon's was pretty much the same thing.
Yeah,
He still had the lights on his dash, but there was
you
just
can hear in the engine there
nothing.
was nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, that's a virtual safety car, which you gain a little bit of time getting a pit stop here. We're on lap 30 of 63.
Well, yeah, great for Max because he decides to stay out. Lando's coming in, I guess, to try another undercut,
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah,
And then Max is the benefit of a virtual safety car. And it's like, you know what? Free pit. Great.
yeah. And Matt, again, where Max happened to be on track was right at the pit lane, or just about getting to the pit lane.
Yeah.
So even
Yeah.
that worked out for him as well. Just where he was on track, because a virtual safety car, you never know
Well,
when it's going to turn
if
off.
it could turn off. Well, usually well, no, because we saw it also as well later, but we'll
Yeah.
get to that. But usually, depending on where it is, Ocon was in a good spot, thankfully, for Max.
Yeah.
I mean, did Max get very lucky this weekend? Sure.
Yes.
Would he have won if he didn't? Well, spoiler alert. Would he have won if he didn't get those safety cars? I think so. Probably still.
I think so.
It
I
would have
do
been
think
tough.
so. I think it would have been.
It'd been closer.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I don't
would
think
have.
it would have been closer because, well, we'll get to it.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, we go racing again, virtual safety. There's not that much of the bunching up where we have in like with a regular safety
Well, no, not
car.
a virtual safety car because you just keep this a certain speed. Everybody keeps the same
Yeah.
speed, so we're just
You're still-
whatever it is. It's like 120 kilometers an hour, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So you're still
Slow
whatever
down.
it is, whatever that thing is. You just have to keep your delta,
Yeah.
and to the other person basically.
Yeah.
At a
And
certain
then
speed.
yeah, and then the car was gone, and then we have lap 47 where Kimi almost does the exact same thing. Car engine problems, but like you said, he
lost
loses
it.
steering.
Yeah.
He loses everything. He doesn't even have anything on the dash. And where he is, I didn't think it seemed any
there's
less dangerous.
Well, so the thing with
or
the
more
with the what I noticed about Ocon's is he was closer to a not a runoff area, but an exit area.
oh, a
So
back.
it's easier for them to get the car out. They could have just pushed
Okay.
it out, basically. Where Kimi was, they literally had to come in, get the tractor, pull them out, and they had to go a longer distance. And so because of the fact that the tractor comes on the field,
That's why they
or
needed
on the track, they go automatic safety car.
full safety. Yeah. Okay. Because I was like, it seemed like the same thing. Why was one whatever?
It looked, the Nocons looked initially like the same thing, but then once
Yeah.
they did the replay, you can see where that runoff is, right where he pulls off. So it's very easy
Gotcha.
to get him off. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, lap 40. That's what happens on lap 47. Max
Remember what,
Verstappen.
63
And the-
laps this weekend?
Yeah, 63. And again, Max is just in a fantastic spot to just switch out his tires. He didn't even really need to.
He didn't need to, but everybody
Why
comes
not?
in for a tire change. And
Yeah.
because where he is, he gets a free change. Nobody's behind him. Nobody else is coming in, obviously. None of
No.
even the back markers have come in for
No.
a tire change. And everybody else, literally everybody else that comes in for a tire change is coming into traffic, almost impeding other people. Like we have maybe 11 cars that come in at the same time, and it's just an absolute disaster in that pit lane. And Max is just running like, I don't care. It just, this is
And
amazing.
so much so that it actually takes a little bit of time for him to get to the safety car.
Yeah.
Because of how
How much space he has.
cheeky and like how much space he had in this stop, or when the stop comes up. So again, he got, is it luck? Yeah, sometimes you get lucky with when a safety car falls, and sometimes you get unlucky with a safety car, like Lando. He had just gone in with a safety.
Or even Charles with the
Yeah.
virtual safety, because he had just came
Yeah.
in too. I think the
Yeah.
lap before Lando.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah.
on the radio like every time the safety car,
Every
virtual
time.
safety car. I can't do his
Yeah.
accent, but he was really mad that his
Mm-hmm.
like every time they make a decision later on, they don't get the benefit of this because Maybe they're a little trigger happy. I don't know.
And I mean, you heard Harry, Benjamin, and Ant, because we didn't have Crofty and Brundle this weekend, but you
They were still
hear,
drunk celebrating.
yeah, you hear them kind of saying, but nobody has a crystal ball. And it's true. Like, you
No,
don't know that something's going to
you
happen.
have your strategy. You set your
Yeah.
strategy. You know your pit window and all that other
Yeah.
crap. And unfortunately, just I,
I mean, I know it's frustration and in the moment and whatever.
I say unfortunately, but I mean, you look at how your tires are running. You're looking at how everybody else's tires are running. I get the Lando thing. He's trying to undercut, and it just doesn't work out for him because it's literally a lap difference.
Yeah.
And maybe it worked if that virtual safety car had come out a lap later, and Max doesn't get that benefit.
Yeah.
But when you're watching people run longer, say on the medium tires, and they seem to be okay, you're not necessarily struggling for grip. Maybe you're not gaining, maybe you're not losing. Maybe you can take it a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean, that's strategy.
It's
That's
racing.
it's a gamble, and that's what you take, right? So
It's racing. But by this time, so it's actually quite a few laps to get this all organized and cleaned up, and we have to have cars on lap. And so I think it's lap 50, either 53 or 54 where they have the restart.
53, I think.
53, yeah. So they have the restart. And, Mac, like I say it all the time, like he's really, really good on a restart. And he actually did it on a corner.
He does it on the last corner before the straight.
Yeah. And I was like,
What's it called?
again,
Bravazza
not many people can do a restart on a corner like that. And
nobody can.
He takes off.
Nobody. I, the amount of restarts we've seen people do, nobody backs the pack up like Max does. Like he will go from almost a cold standing start, and make sure everybody's really slow, and then just take off. And nobody ever backs somebody up or the rest of the pack up like that much.
No, I think maybe it's a little bit of fear from other people. They're like, we don't know where the jump is going to be. Oscar's also really good on a restart when he's in the lead. But it's not the same. It's not the same at all. But at this point, we have the McLarens sitting
2 and 3.
2 and 3, and there's
and
this like, what's McLaren gonna do?
Oh no, sorry,
these
it was
guys
Oscar
gonna be
and Lando. Yes, it was Oscar and Lando.
Yeah. What are these gonna be? What are these guys gonna be allowed to do? Are they gonna be allowed to fight? Is McLaren gonna make a call? Is it going to be the right one?
Well, at this point, Oscar's also, I think his tires were at 17 or 18 laps.
Yeah,
something like that. And Lando was on 4 or 5 laps, something like that. Yeah. And so obviously he's on the faster tire. And Lando's on the radio pretty quickly saying, I'm not saying we should swap or anything, but I can see his tires are kind of struggling.
But it's your call.
Yeah, you guys decide whatever you want to do. Like, I'm just a team player. Yeah. But I'm not telling you to swap.
Yeah. Okay. He's like, I'm not saying I want to swap. I'm just letting you know his tires are grained.
Which is really annoying because when we talk about what makes a racer and their mentality and their just desire to kill and to win.
Yeah.
And all of Lando's knocks is he doesn't have the mentality to be a winning championship racer.
Yeah. Say what you want.
Say it
with your chest.
Say it.
His tires are 17.
There is not
17 laps old.
There is not one previous F1 champion that would not have said, "We need to swap. I'm the faster car. Let's swap right now. I don't give a shit." Even Vettel, who is the nicest fucking person, but you hear his radios.
He's nice now.
Yeah, you hear his radios, and it's like, "Get this fucking guy out of my way. I need to go." You need to do it.
Yeah.
Don't be a pussy.
Yeah. So, I mean, we see the restart, and it's almost as if the McLarens don't care about Max, because within a lap, Max is 1.9, I think, ahead.
Gone.
Again. And then by the second lap, he is 3 seconds ahead. So it's almost as if they pulled, I don't know, I'm just guessing that they pulled back, because how did he get ahead?
I think it's Oscar's tires, because at that point Max is also, you remember Max is 1 lap of tires better than Lando at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even well, actually, they both came in. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's just the difference that Lando's getting pushed back by Oscar. Oscar can't keep up because we see Lando 1-2 laps later pass Oscar.
Yeah.
On the straight, and maybe it was that swap. Or they just let him go racing, which I think they did because we didn't hear a call.
I think it was a let it go racing.
Let it go racing. Yeah, it's just almost like, I don't know what's happening. My mic button isn't working. I can't tell you what to do.
And you know what? Oscar didn't fight him too much either. He knows. He
knows he wasn't going to catch.
So
Max.
it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to fight him. But yeah, they have a little bit of a coming. They don't actually come together. Kind of.
They come close. They come close. It scared me a little bit, but
I was like, oh jeez. So I mean, they race, and Max is absolutely just gone in the distance, and Lando's not making any gain on him either.
No, and that's why I don't think that the undercut, the virtual safety car really played a factor in it, because we see the actual safety car bunch them all up, and he's gone again. Yeah,
it's true. And then getting towards the end, we see an odd pairing. Alex Albon and Charles Leclerc are battling it out for fifth, I think it is at this point. Fourth or no?
But they're battling for fourth. I think Charles is in fourth.
Albon Hamilton's ahead.
No, Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
Through goes Hamilton.
Yeah, through goes Hamilton.
Leclerc was in fourth. Albon was in fifth, and Hamilton was behind him in sixth. So,
yeah. And they're doing this weird jockeying of, which I mean, it's not weird. It's just, you don't often see an Albon beside like a Charles.
Right up his ass. Like he was in his tailpipe.
Yeah.
This got X-rated.
Yeah. It was a lot. And we have, they're battling, and we do have a through goes Hamilton situation, and then Albon ends up going off track onto the dirt, which I thought he was gonna be done into the gravel there. And it's close.
Well,
rule is, or go ahead.
Well, the rule is about the apex, and the apex is subjective-ish, where the actual apex of that corner is. So Albon comes in with DRS. They are almost wheel to wheel, even on wheels. And then he just doesn't have the speed. He's got to go. He's got to go through that, and that's where we have that straight. through goes Hamilton, because he passes Hamilton passes both of them, and then Albon slots in behind Leclerc. Yeah. So where they determine where the Ferrari pit wall determines where that apex is, I mean, again, that's where it's somewhat subjective. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, they bring Bernie Collins on to kind of talk and say, okay, Bernie, who's at fault here? Because, they're looking at the replay and they're like, they're wheel to wheel. So for it to be Albon's corner, he has to be ahead. And for all intents and purposes, he wasn't. They were side by side.
But what we've also seen over the last couple of races, when we're talking about side by side or where it's your corner, we saw this with Max and Oscar and Max and Lando, is your front wheel has to be basically alongside their mirror, which is just behind the wheel, right? When we're talking about the apex. Yeah. I think they were basically at that point. However, I don't think that at that speed, Albon's making that corner.
No. And I mean, you could hear from Harry and Ant. They were kind of saying, we don't think it was Albon. Like, we don't think Charles would get in trouble for this. Charles shouldn't get in trouble for this, because the attacking driver needs to be ahead, and he was not ahead and safely going to continue that corner. It just wasn't.
I think Brundle would have contested them, just like he did Crofty.
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago and said, well,
Yeah.
no, he was ahead, but he wouldn't have made that corner.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but then are you really ahead?
You are. I mean, physically, you are ahead. Like if you're going to draw a straight line across that
Yeah.
apex through the two cars, you are technically ahead. But it's an unsportsmanlike maneuver, essentially,
Right.
where
Yeah.
you're not going to make it. You're just making that complaint
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah. And I mean, we see it very quickly go to the stewards. And then very quickly we see Ferrari get on the radio and say, give the
Give
spot
the spot
back.
back.
And it's the last lap at this point when Ferrari says that. And it looks like Charles pretty much has to slow down at this to kind of get Albon
Mhm.
close enough that he can pass. And I don't know.
So
Would you have taken the risk of just?
I absolutely would have. I absolutely would have taken the risk of not giving that corner back. One, I don't believe that he would have made that corner, so I would have used that as an argument to the
Yeah.
FIA in an incident later on. Two, I'm trying to think of the penalty. So there was no contact, right? It just happened. I'm thinking at worst it's going to be a 5-second penalty. Now, if I look where Albon is on track, where he finished the race, and where the next place below Leclerc, which would have been if Leclerc stayed in fourth, whereas sixth, right? So if you're going to jockey between fourth and fifth, Albon's finished at 17,945, where George Russell in seventh is 22,034. So just under that 5-second penalty. However, they had a fight. I think that Leclerc could have made up that extra little bit where that 5-second penalty would have still kept him in fifth. So you're still looking at fourth, and if you get a penalty, you're in fifth. No harm done. See you later.
But you have fourth and fifth opposed to fourth and sixth.
Exactly. I think the risk is worth it in that point. Let the FIA go. I don't think my driver was wrong. I'm gonna let the FIA decide on that afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, and we do see that the FIA, as soon as they switch, it says no further investigation.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they were. Yeah. It doesn't mean that they were.
Yeah.
That Charles would have been in the wrong. It just means, well, there's nothing.
The team's decided this for
you
us.
guys figured it out. Yeah.
And if I'm Ferrari and I had such a shit weekend leading up to the race, and by all accounts it's been a great race, I'm not going belly up. I'm not giving up. I'm going to be in that fight all the way through.
And
let the fans be upset with the FIA.
Yeah. And I think that's what Charles was angry about on the radio. And he's like, oh, so that's what we're going to do now. We're just going to give spots back. And I agree with him. Why are you just going to give it back?
And Charles fucked up because he should have said, you know what? No. You want to give me shit later on?
With the last one.
Yeah. I'm going to go no.
Well, because then if he does get the penalty, then that's on him. You decided to not move.
Exactly.
That penalty is now on you, but the team has now made the decision and it's on the team.
We go back to this championship mentality.
Yeah.
Schumacher would have said, fuck you.
Yeah, that's true.
Would have said, fuck you. I'm driving.
He drives people off the road on purpose.
Deal with it. Yeah, we'll deal with it, whatever we're going to deal with at that point. And I think some of the drivers are a little too scared now to play the team because there's so much money behind the team. And you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to drive. That's what I was paid to do.
Yeah.
And we'll deal with the consequences after.
Yeah. But, and I think Ferrari made the wrong call. Surprise for Ferrari. But again, that was the last lap, and we have Max Verstappen win
comfortably after a safety car.
Very comfortably.
6 seconds ahead.
Yeah, he wins and is just ecstatic. And again, it's his only second win of the year so far.
But fourth straight
in Imola. Which is crazy.
But we've seen this from Max. We've seen races where he knows the track. He can put it together. Japan's one of them. I know he didn't win in Japan, but when we get to qualifying, like he just when there's a track that he enjoys, that he knows so well.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the most dangerous person on that track, even if he's not in the fastest car.
Yeah. I'd love to know, this is totally off topic, but I would love to know when Max is just like, I'm gonna go on sim. Just not regulated, just he's
It's
gonna go on sim. I want to know what track he picks.
oh, I think he picks them all.
He just does them all in one
I
night.
I feel like he likes. I have a feeling he likes Nürburgring. I feel like
Yeah.
he does. Like Silverstone's a great track. I think he likes that one. Um,
But do you think
I
he's
think Imola
doing a
might be one.
track that he's good at or a
I
track
think
that
he
he's
plays so
not
much
good at?
sim that he plays 3 seasons of Formula One in
In
like
24 hours?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think he's run them all multiple times just for fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be interesting to hear, like, I know they've done those games, like their favorite track and whatever, but it'd be interesting to see, like, what he pulls up when he's like, I'm gonna go sim, you feed the baby. Um,
I think that happens
but
quite a bit. Yeah, quite
all
a
the
bit.
time. So yeah, so that's Max. He wins again, his second win of the season. Maybe more. Maybe we're seeing a Red Bull, or I wouldn't say a Red Bull, a Max change. They've figured out his car. Maybe.
Well, I found it really weird because like he wasn't happy at the beginning of the weekend, and
Yeah.
even basically up until qualifying, he wasn't really that happy.
Yeah.
And then he said they fixed my car. I'm like, but they didn't bring upgrades. They fixed his car. So how easy? Like, how did this just magically get fixed over a couple days? And like, hey, they fixed it. It's no problem now. And now we'll just bring upgrades the rest of the year, and
Yeah.
I'll just dominate the shit out of everybody else.
Yeah. Can you imagine
What
that he
would
just
be
like
like,
just
I
takes
don't.
the rest of the races?
Yeah,
Oh
I don't
God.
understand like how much of a setup change they could have done to take a car that he hated on Friday
Yeah.
to something he was enjoying on Sunday
Yeah.
without an upgrade. I don't get it.
Comfortably.
I don't get it.
And like no panic.
No, and he said
Nothing.
it in his post race interview. Like, yeah, they fixed my car and it was great. It was a delight to drive. Basically, like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Weird. Anyways, Lando came in second and Oscar came in third, keeping Oscar still ahead in the drivers. But there's 23 or 24 points between the top three drivers.
I can find that for you in a second. But Hamilton only finishing 2 seconds behind Oscar. No, wait. Yeah, only 2 seconds behind Oscar.
For someone that started in 12th.
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty good. The
I
Ferraris
get
had a good run in the end.
They did.
But
The safety car helped. I get it. Bunched everybody
Yeah.
up. But to finish the last 6, 7 laps, whatever it was, and only be 2 seconds behind, it's not bad for somebody who could a team that couldn't put a lap together in qualifying.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, and I think now, unfortunate for Kimi, but now I did see that Hamilton has surpassed Kimi in the drivers. He's
now
just jumped over
5
him.
points ahead. Not hard
Which-
to do when you finish in fourth and the other guy doesn't finish. But
Yeah, exactly.
But Albon is only 8 points behind Kimi Antonelli. Albon's got 40 points in a Williams that can barely get 40 points as a team.
Yeah, what did they get last year? Like 7? No, not 17. That was somebody else.
They were at like 40.
Yeah, and they're doing well. They're doing pretty darn well.
I mean, I'll tell you right now because I'm just interested. But go ahead, you can keep going.
Just a little bit.
17 points.
17 points.
It's
Is what they.
sad.
Yeah,
And he's hit
There you go.
40, which is fantastic.
and I'm sure Albon got all 17 of those points last year.
No, Colapinto got one.
Yeah, maybe a couple of points.
I think like 1 or 2. I think that was the big news. That was
That face was just.
Yeah.
All right. So a little bit of news. Do we have news? What do we have?
We have a couple things of news, not much. You know what? I don't want to touch on a lot, just all rumor and conspiracy and all bunch of bullshit. But so in the interest of time, this week, not weekend, Martin Brundle received the Order of the British Empire for his contributions to motorsport and sports broadcasting. So congratulations to Martin Brundle. Everybody likes Martin Brundle. It's good to know that you can still get an honorary royal order title thing, even though you just rip people on track all weekend.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's not always the nicest.
No, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate the fact that he got that.
He's nice in a professional way.
He's
it's
nice
like that
professional
per my
way.
last email.
Yeah,
It's like that.
exactly. So congratulations to him. I think that he definitely, absolutely is somebody that is deserving of such an honor.
Yeah. That's, I didn't even think about it like that, but yeah, for someone that talks, so there's a chance for us.
There's a chance.
We talk
might get
shit.
the order of moronic Canadians.
Yeah. I don't think we're the worst of those.
Speaking of myself.
Okay.
I won't include you in that. Other than that, I didn't really want to go into all the other stuff. It's just a bunch of rumor and conjecture.
Conjecture.
Yeah.
All right. So then we have fresh set and dirty air.
I'm going to go. Can I do my fresh set?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been thinking about it this week. And you know what? You had messaged me earlier, and you had asked me if I had seen Colton Herta's crash in Indy, which I hadn't, and you hadn't yet, and I had found it. I'm going to give my fresh set to the Halo. This weekend, especially, I don't think, and I thought about this after, I don't think there has ever been, or there is a greater innovation to the safety of players and drivers in sport than the Halo. Colton Herta's crash was absolutely ridiculous, so dangerous. It could have ended up so much worse. He ended up walking away from it. Obviously, he's getting checked out and stuff, but by all accounts, he's going to be good. Yuki Tsunoda this weekend. If it wasn't for that Halo, he's dragging himself across the fence and the barriers, his head first. That Halo has saved so many people. And continues to. We saw it with Zhao in the Alfa Romeo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it to the Halo this weekend. And whoever invented the Halo, I meant to look it up and I completely forgot. I got to lunch and all that stuff. And whoever designed and created it and approved it, thank you, because it allows us to have great racers for longer times and no tragedies on track. To have great racers for longer times.
That's very health and safety of you. That's very health and safety of you. I think, seeing him, again, it's, you don't often see a car flip, and this weekend we saw two and end up on the wrong side, of the car, and Herta is just dragging for 100 yards. Yeah. Well, no, I think that's it's a good fresh set for this weekend. Mine is kind of it's for two people, actually. I'm gonna say Max. I mean, he had a good race. He had a really good, typical Max race. Just dominating, got lucky in some spots, but he capitalized on the luck when he could. So there, and then Albon. I just thought Albon, seeing him fight and where he's fight. We've seen Albon fight. We haven't seen Albon fight this high up. Yeah. And who he's fighting. And I think we're being able to see that he is not just a back of the pack driver. He's capable of being in a top 4 car.
He is what Red Bull saw before, and they just didn't give him the opportunity to continue.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I think maybe going away and not being in Red Bull the whole time probably has been good for him.
I think his mental health is much better.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but I think both of those drivers had it. I mean, Max won, but then Albon just had a really good weekend as well. Yeah. So dirty air.
I'm gonna pick the obvious. I have to pick the obvious. What I mean. Well, I'll let you go first, because then I could pick on two. So I'll let you go first.
I was gonna say the obvious is Kimi.
Oh, it wasn't my obvious one, but go ahead.
Oh, I would say that's what I'm gonna go with, Kimmy. I saw a meme just before we started this that said he DNF'd in front of his crush,
Oh,
and and I was like, he
oh.
started on such a high this
It's a good thing
weekend.
he's got like 7 other crushes he can just
Yeah,
lean on.
yeah. And I thought, he's so excited about this being his home race, and um, I mean, everybody wants to not win, but like, everybody wants to finish and do well at home. And I kind of felt bad for him because it was something out of his control. Something
Yeah.
just went wrong with the car. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's my dirty air, Kimmy.
It's your dirty air. Okay. It's very easy for me to say Ferrari.
Oh,
I didn't like anything that Ferrari did this weekend.
I just didn't like Ferrari.
I did. No, I didn't. Yeah, I could go with Haas. We talked about it.
Yeah.
The Pope trying to give his American brethren some good love today in England. Italy.
Brethren.
Yeah, whatever. Well, that's an English word.
I know it is.
I did say it the Jamaican way.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna give it to Ferrari. I'm still gonna give it to Ferrari. You can't show. I know they finished well, but you can't have the showing you had this weekend in front of your home fans. It has to be. You have to hit one after the other, day after day after day. It can't be. You can't get lucky with safety cars and virtual safety cars, and because if they didn't have safety cars, virtual safety cars, and the ability to change your tires an extra 2 times or 1 time or whatever it was, and backing up the pack like that, they probably would have been in 9, 10, 11, 12. They wouldn't have had the benefit of what they had this weekend.
No, they actually did talk about that this week. That the safety car came around sometime in the 70s. I might even be wrong with that. So it's like,
Well, yeah, because they just let people die.
yeah, or just go.
Yeah.
So yes, we see the luck that a safety car can bring, but you also can't rely on luck every time.
Which we've seen last year, where they were relying on luck, and we never had a safety car, and it ruined everybody's race. So yeah, I think they have to look at their setup. They have to look at their strategy. They have to do better, because this is when they get to Monza. If it's the same, I mean, they're gonna have pitchforks.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
Honestly, but all right. Well, that's our fresh set and our dirty air, and that's it for Imola. Next week is Monaco.
Triple header.
Triple header. Monaco, and then.
And I had mentioned the reason I am not excited or whatever for Monaco. One, we know it's not going to be the greatest of races, but the fact that we're manufacturing some kind of drama and overtakes with the mandatory 2-stop, I really hate this idea. I really do. I don't want to see. I don't want to tune in just to watch people pass people in the pit lane. I don't.
Yeah.
It's not racing. It's not fun.
We're gonna have more crashes, which is more dangerous in Monaco, having a bad crash. And apparently, I heard Christian in an interview after the race saying he saw that there's rain this weekend. I'm like, great.
The rain, I don't mind. The rain, I don't mind.
We're gonna have 3 pit stops.
I think the last good Monaco race we had, there was rain.
Yeah, where they were on full wets. Yeah, 20.
I don't mind that. Listen, somebody makes a mistake, not necessarily that they crash, but you can maybe get a pass in somewhere here or there if you're careful.
Yeah,
whatever. I hate the mandatory. I hate the mandatory 2-stop. I think it's an absolute mockery of a classic track.
Just to make it interesting. Yeah, change the cars. Yeah,
change your fucking
car. Yeah. All of you. All of you.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, we will be back next week with an episode. It is Game 7 for the Leafs.
Game 7. Let's go Leafs.
Let's go Leafs.
Yeah. We'll see what happens if they lose tonight. I might just cut this whole ending out.
Okay. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Grab a fresh set.
Bye.